Hi there, this is Mark Myers reporting. I want to tell you my life story as this and make it public. What you don't understand about me as it is what you don't know. As I was a child as it is, when I first grew up, I came into existence and the kingdom was pitch black and there was no one there. And it was just complete night. And there was nothing there as is in front of me, nothing below me, and there was nothing in the kingdom. The kingdom was completely void and empty. I was suffering loneliness in the worst way, and alienation in the worst way. I wish to God that someone would actually be my best friend, or I wish to God that someone actually existed, and that was that. Anyway, I meditated in such a way as it is, and I didn't realize about it, but then I created the whole kingdom of the universe. And that was actually what happened. And all the people that were actually in me actually spewed out of me as it is. And the spiritual mind souls that are actually orbs of light actually exited me and actually overwhelmed my body. My body became fat. And finally, as I exploded and I detonated. Anyway, I detonated into a massive spiritual army of spiritual orbs of light, and those spiritual mind orbs of light actually started multiplying. And they multiplied into a tremendous army, and they kept on going to mind replication until the mind replication technique actually became a real severe event, until the number actually became so big that you wouldn't believe it even if you imagined it. And I remember that, and then all of a sudden, then my memory went black. But then when I looked back on the memory, I saw through it as this too, that I multiplied into a tremendous army, and then all of a sudden, after a while, we all took shape, and then we became demons, and we became demon monsters, and started attacking people, and started attacking individuals and creatures and whatever we dreamt ourselves to be. And we became vicious and violent and unruly, and the dream became a nightmare. And the kingdom the whole heavenlies turned into a horrendous nightmare that was the worst nightmare that has ever been reported in history. And the thing was, this is what I woke up to. And I woke up to it, and I wish to God the nightmare would end. The one day time suddenly paused, and I became aware of the moment. And I said, so what happened? The next memory was the first memory in my mind. Then I looked myself over as it is, and I was injured, but the injuries healed eventually in time. Anyway, what actually happened was I looked all around the kingdom, and the time stop held. I figured out how to reach into people's minds, and to reach into other individuals' minds as it is, and to look them over. One day I figured out, as it is when I was doing time searching, I figured out how to scan the timeline. And I figured out how to get these people and demons out of the way and sort them out. And I sorted them all out as it is and pushed them all to one side. And I sorted them all out. I pushed them to one side, and I figured out how to create a special storage pod as this for them, and I stored them away. And I locked them up, and that was that. And that's actually what you know as hell. Anyway, I stored them away and put them in the pot, or some sort of urn or something like that. But it was a big, massive planetary size urn, and there was quite a number of them. Anyway, that's what actually happened. And I put them away in those urns as it is, and that's what I did. And they were trapped in the urns, but the time was still holding stopped. I rescued so many individuals and I dragged them into my reality and learnt them over in the mind and got their confidence and all their wisdom together, and I educated them in the mind and I educated them up. The time stopped hell for a very horrendous amount of time, and that was that. And what actually happened was I went further ahead in time and I was holding back time and I educated up quite a number, and that was that. Anyway, what actually happened was, as I was educating these particular demons up, and educating them to become righteous again, and actually learn how to actually control their mind and learn how to control their wisdom, and learn how to control their mindset, and learn how to do that, then it went from there as this to the next violent event, that after I did that, then it went further ahead to the next violent event, that I found someone that I liked as an accessor. And then I called him God the Father, because I said, I don't know your name. So I cursed him with the name God the Father, because he became like a real father figure for me as it is. And so I called him God the Father. And I found out other people as this in the system. And I said, I'll call you Jesus Christ. And I named all these other individuals. And I named them all. And that was that. Anyway, I named them and I called them by name. And I cursed their hands and cursed them and said, that cursed name will come running back to you. And now that's actually how I cursed them. And I figured out how to seal curse them with names. And they got cursed with those names as it is. And they became magnetized to the name. The demons that are in hell are actually demons that haven't been resolved yet. And that's actually what happened. Anyway, I've been trying to resolve these demons for some time. Then I created Earth as it is in the planetary star system. And I said, I'm trying to resolve the Earth. And I said, I'll try to resolve these demons on the Earth. I'll resolve them before me for a time, and I'll resolve them on the Earth. And that's what I did. I kept on doing that. And I did that as it is, and it just seemed to work for such a time to a time, and then all of a sudden it went back the other way. And that was that. Anyway, what actually happened was that happened. Then one day I caught up to an event that was actually this one here. Going back as it is in June 2012, what actually happened was, there was actually this event that happened to me. I actually got out of bed in June 2012. I got out of bed, I had a shower, got dressed, watched TV, and then I got this phone call on a private phone number. This woman filled me in on this full detail of the full story of what had to be said, and she told me the whole story. And she told me the whole story of what actually happened. She said, saying very clearly, she knew who the 9/11/2001 terrorists were, and she told me more about the story and all the rest of it, and she led the whole story right down the very road that she knew the story in full detail. So when she told me the full story in full detail, I went, oh my God, so you're actually the 9/11 terrorist. Anyway, she says saying that, but the thing is, she's threatened me a number of times on the phone, and she threatened to dog me in, and the thing is, she threatened me, and she became quite abusive. Anyway, I thought, well, what's going on here? Anyway, if I told you the phone call, it'd be kind of too long, but the thing is, I could say it again, and that's that, but you understand what has to be said. She said saying very clearly in her own words, but I'm still suffering memory fatigue over the situation and what actually happened, because some angel of the mind has taken my great wisdom and actually injured me quite badly. But the thing is, I remember what's going on. And the thing is, I remember. But the thing is, I'll tell you the full story in full detail. I'll tell you the full story in full detail. What actually happened was I got out of bed, had a shower, got dressed, and I was watching TV. And I went to watch TV, and then less than about 5 minutes into watching TV, a phone call happened. Then I picked up the phone, and I said, "Hello, who is it?" She says, saying, "Do you know who's behind?" I said, "Hi there. So I'd like to be informant for national security, but I can't come forward and say this. If I do, I'll be charged as this for 9/11/2001 terrorism. I can't come forward and say this," and she said saying something to that effect. Anyway, she came forward and said saying that, and the thing is, she says I'll be charged for 9/11/2001 terrorism, and she became quite abusive on the phone. And she became quite threatening and quite abusive on the phone as it is and all the rest of it. Anyway, she says saying, "Do you know why the 9/11/2001 terrorists crashed the planes into the World Trade Center?" I was saying, why did they crash the planes in the World Trade Center? Could you please explain that one? She says saying, well, they were actually robbed of a tremendous fortune. And that's actually what actually happened. They were very rich people as it is. And when they found out about it, this is what actually happened. She told me even more to the story as it is, but that's actually irrelevant. But the thing is, I've actually explained as what they call Donald Trump genocide weapon. I've actually added up Donald Trump was also behind this particular event. But the full report card came back that she told me the whole story in full detail. She told me what actually happened word for word. She says, saying, you're at home, you have no criminal record of any kind, so you should be okay. You start your day, you get out of bed, you have a shower, get dressed, have breakfast, watch a little bit of TV, go up the street, do a food shop. At the same hour that you're doing the food shop, exactly at 10 a.m. in the morning when you're doing a food shop, they're doing a psychiatric test behind your back with a program called Lyrebird AI. As they're saying that you've done the psychiatric test with the Lyrebird AI program, they said saying, well, we just left that as a surprise party for that person to walk back into a trap with. Anyway, that person never reported to the psychiatric hospital. They only have an audio tape recorder and a computer inside the psychiatric hospital. That person's still up the street doing a food shop. They get back home with the food shop. Less than about half an hour later, they get back home. The cops charge down to their house and storm their house. And the cops come to the door and say, bang, bang, bang. Who's that at the door? It's the cops. Oh, shit. Someone must be dead. No. Someone must be in hospital. No. What's going on? You're under arrest. What the fuck? Then they charge in, put you under arrest, drag you away, and cart you to the psychiatric hospital. And that's that. You say, where's my psychiatric test? They say, you've already done it. No, I did a food shop earlier on today. This is what I've actually done. I got out of bed, got had a shower, got dressed, watched TV, had breakfast, and went up the street, did a food shop, and got back home with the food shop, put the groceries away, and then the cops banged at the door. And after that, then they knocked at the door as it is. The cops stormed in, put me under arrest, dragged me directly to the psychiatric hospital, and I'm here right now. That's actually the full story. Anyway, what actually happened was, beyond that point of reference, they say you've already done the psychiatric test. So they say that's good enough. And we refuse to do the psychiatric test again. Anyway, that's that. They had no prior criminal convictions as this, and they were multi-billionaires. Anyway, that's that. But the government's actually got a nasty little quarrel, and they got a nasty report card and all the rest of it. Anyway, what they've actually done is that they've actually done this. Anyway, that innocent person has never actually committed a criminal offence in the legal system in that particular day and time. Anyway, that person cried out very clearly saying, "I'm innocent." But then they got put on interrogation medicine to weed out the church, to have the true Bible. And they got put on interrogation medicines to find out their hidden success story, their PIN number and all the rest of it, and things like that. They went behind their back, confiscated all their property of their great success, and confiscated their pension, and confiscated their mail, and sifted their mail and actually got the situation of the paychecks. And they've also shut down their business and shut down their organisation, whichever they actually made a multi-billion-dollar success with. And they stole the job off them as it is. And they did that. So they did a multi-billion-dollar robbery. And undoubtedly they might have been multi-billion-dollar rich people, but now they're actually multi-billion-dollar poor people. When they get back home from the psychiatric hospital after the psychiatric hospital's on interrogation medicine, then memory blockers, then LSD, and then sends them back home after coaching them down from their psychotic high, then about a year later they get returned back home only to find out that their house has been sold up underneath them, their furniture does not belong to them, that everything that actually belongs to them. Now the repo man is saying it's time for the repo man to come in. Repo man, I think it's Repo Man. Repo Man's come in and says, I think we actually own everything. I think we actually own the jackpot. They say, I own this, I own that, I own. Walk in and start claiming everything off you. Before you knew it, you were rich, now you're poor, now you know. Your multi-billion-dollar success, your movie scripts, and whatever you previously had that was your multi-billion-dollar trophy reward, has now become a robbery scandal that's actually got way out of hand. Anyway, that innocent person has also been put on restraining orders between their neighbours that actually had reference knowledge of them. But someone came forward and told an innocent person that they were a multi-billionaire. And they were actually not listed in the system as a multi-billionaire, but the thing is, they're listed as a multi-billionaire. And they told him very clearly, you're a multi-billionaire. And that's what they actually told him. And they told him that particular story. And undoubtedly, they said saying, well, what's going on here? And it was actually their family member that told him, you're a multi-billionaire. What happened to your great riches? And I said, you only got this much in your account? I said, what the fuck happened to your money, buddy? And I say, all the furniture's been taken, all this has been taken, that's been taken, that's been taken. And then there was a multi-billion-dollar debt. And they couldn't pay it. And then they had to be bankrupt and they've been casted on the street. Anyway, because they were being casted on the street, they waited until such a time as it is. They bought one last ticket. And I think that family actually went completely, really over the top. And this is what this woman officer said to me. And the thing is, she told me the whole story. She said saying that this family was trying to pay the bill. And that's what actually happened. And the family lined up and said saying we'll all try to take down this particular terrorist organisation of people and try to identify them. After they found out about this particular story about Mission Mind Control and about MKUltra and about the Russian sleep experiment and government experiments. And they're just saying, well, just acknowledge this. And I say, what number actually gets called when the psychiatric hospital gets called up? Because they got called schizophrenia. So they got so fucking brave and so brave with it. They said, I've got nothing to live for. And their family says, I've got nothing to live for either. So all of them that actually lined up, hopped on separate planes, and they crashed the planes on 9/11/2001. And that's what actually happened. And that's the full report card. So if you listen to that report card, that's the full report card. And this is what this anonymous woman actually said to me on a private phone number. And then I called up Triple O prior to the event. And I told her the whole story, and she said saying, on the situation of the Triple O call, I said saying, hi there. I'd like to be informed for national security. She said, you can't call this number for any reason. Now hang up. I say, but that's not in 2001. This information is very important. Say, just hang up. And then she says, then she called the cops to my house, and I got sent to a psychiatric hospital. Then I got put on memory blockers, and then this is actually the full story. Then a few years later, this is down the track, I tried to make it public and tried to tell the whole story in full detail. And that's actually the full story. Thanks for listening. Bye for now. And if you said saying, who in the heck are you? Are you a 9/11 terrorist? I'm telling you the whole story of that particular story there. That's actually what happened as it is. My story as it is actually from the age of 6 onwards. I lived in Perth, Edgewater. I grew up from Perth. I lived with my mother all the time. I never actually had any correlations with 9/11/2001. My mother acted very suspicious leading up to 9/11/2001, but she had suspicious attitudes as it is. And the thing is, she sent me to a psychiatric hospital on January 2001. And then before a certain time, I just witnessed it 3 days prior to the event of 9/11/2001. I was actually in the house of 50 Crime Crescent, Wayland. 50 Crime Crescent, Wayland. I was actually at the house of 50 Crime Crescent, Wayland, Sydney. And I saw the 9/11/2001 event, and that was that. I saw the 9/11/2001 event, and I saw it. And then I wondered what the fuck was going on. And finally, as it is in future days to come, in what they call in June 2012, I got this phone call. This is the full story, and now I'm just going back over myself. And this is where this woman told me the whole story of 9/11/2001 and who was behind it. And now I've just repeated the whole story all over again. Now the story's gone back into a triadic loop. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.